Here, you have done incredible work.
In it will show you what it does. Senate of that and constantly engaged in underhandings.
All of this party, our president, to this APC, to come up and speak something for this thing.
Since the man just come back, nothing to talk to followers.
The Akwa Ibom APC Caretaker Committee Chairman has been operating as though he's a domestic staff of Senator John Udoide.
People position, you don't know, and you will get a position for Africa. When your brother is producing something and you patronizing your brother,
there is only one seat, and only one man will sit on that seat. Let us be careful what we say, and who we say is going to be the governor, or be a senator, or be a member of the House of Representatives, and all of that. Let us also give respect to the office that we all occupy, that God has called us. And be careful that these things that we say, they have a way of having a ripple effect. You must have to understand that in the midst of all of this, God is still God.
Listen to Planet's 101.1 FM News at 7 a.m., 12 noon, and 6 p.m. with our news in special English at 2:30 p.m., Mondays to Fridays. Planet's Radio 101.1 FM, evolving around you.
It's the news at noon. In the news, Federation Account Allocation Committee shares 990.189 billion naira to federal, states and local governments for December 2022. CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele and 36 state governors to meet over withdrawal policy. Residents of Uyo, the Akwa Ibom State Capital, expresses readiness towards upcoming 2023 general elections. On the foreigners in Brazil's president, Luiz Lula removed soldiers from presidential residence after riots. In sports, West Bromwich Albion beats Chesterfield to go into fourth round of FA Cup. Details coming up shortly. Good afternoon and welcome to the news on Planet Radio 101.1 FM. Uyo, I am Bright James. We begin this afternoon with an electoral report that as Nigerians prepare to vote in the forthcoming general elections, former President Goodluck Jonathan has decried the level of political intolerance by some politicians and their supporters in parts of the country. Dr. Jonathan, who said this in Uyo, charged politicians to focus on how to project their plans for the people and allow the voters to make their choice during the elections.
A level of bitterness in our politics that does not bring development. And I plead with politicians that politics is about marketing your ideas. Politics is not about fighting, it's not about insulting, it's not about abusing. We will be reading in the newspapers and maybe social media where even billboards of presidential candidates and governorship candidates have been pulled down by, I believe they are hoodlums, but sometimes they even say some governments support those kind of things. If you're a part of the team doing that, then you should know that you're one of the unfortunate miscreants that is really decomposing our democracy. And you should please stop doing that.
The former president urged security agencies to apprehend and prosecute those who foment political crisis in the country to serve as deterrents to others.
I believe anybody who commits a crime should not be covered under politics. Somebody who commits a crime, burn houses, kill people, the records must be kept, and whenever the investigation is completed, such people must be prosecuted. That is the only way people will stop doing this. But if people commit criminal offenses and walk away, other people will be encouraged to do things. They must not spare any criminal.
Former President Dr. Goodluck Jonathan speaking. Meanwhile, some residents of Uyo, the Akwa Ibom State Capital, expressed their readiness towards the 2023 general election, saying collecting their permanent voters card (PVC) will enable them to vote during the election. Speaking with Planet News, a respondent said that the 2023 election will be his first eligible elections to participate in, adding that it is important for him as a citizen of Nigeria to carry out the civic responsibility. He encouraged all the youths to get their PVCs and vote for their candidates of choice during the election.
Nigeria ba me already. Agbe be fere go mi po. Ibe aga ebugi me kete dan okara ni aba. Iso ayi ti aba kofroko. Bien, na binte. Awo ge ba ga Nigeria. Ma me PVC me. Ma ke yem si nam san ko dan bi akidem. Bien, me be hidem je fro for me. Fan monsi ayi gbede ne mi doko mombo. Ke ma kem ke February presidential election. Am fro for me. Ibi vote. Dere wo. Fre nyene me ni part to play in selecting for ourselves. Awo si bi that me no song. Egbe nkan states, national. So Monsignor PVC Mambo. Came my Uber Senego for a game for election. My was on a war. I can't my kid.
Few but no ways. I mean, me on me for. I remember my was an election. I feel my word. Yeah, if you were on BSM.
Further speaking in an interview with our correspondent in Earbet, they urged some Nigerians to stop the act of vote selling, describing the attitude as a hindrance to achieving credible, free, and fair election, as it most times produces a winner who may not be the most competent candidate. To the national scene now, where the Federation Account Allocation Committee (FAAC) has shared 990.189 billion naira to the federal government, states, local governments for December 2022. Director of Information and Press, Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Abiamowe Owete, who gave the details, said the federal government received 375.306 billion naira. States and the FCT received 299.557 billion naira, while the 774 local government councils got 221.807 billion naira. According to him, the 990.189 billion naira received by the federal government comprises gross statutory revenue, value-added tax, VAT, exchange gain and electronic money transfer levies, EMTL. However, oil-producing states received 93.519 billion naira as 13% of mineral derivation revenue. Away from that, the federal government has said it sometimes borrows funds to buy petrol as the country continues to incur rising fuel subsidy bills. The government also confirmed that there was a possibility of global economic recession this year, but stressed that Nigeria's foreign exchange reserves were healthy enough to withstand the shocks. The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, who disclosed this on the sidelines of the World Economic Forum in Davos, also stated that the federal government at some point had to borrow funds to buy a premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol, despite the huge subsidy spending on the commodity. Ahmed said that insisted on ending the fuel subsidy regime, while adding that it would be done gradually from the second quarter of this year by the current government. To our business news now, where governors of the 36 states have planned to meet with the CBN governor, Godwin Emefiele, tomorrow Thursday over the present withdrawal policy and the redesigned naira notes. The governors, under the auspices of the Nigeria Governors Forum (NGF) through its spokesperson, Bello Barakindo, in a statement said the governors will exchange ideas with Emefiele on the economic and security implications of the current withdrawal policy and naira redesign. Bello Barakindo said the chairman of the NGF, who is the Sokoto State Governor, Aminu Tamwa, had invited Emefiele to meet with the 36 state governors. He noted that the virtual meeting would focus on the latest Apex Bank's withdrawal policy and naira redesign. Recall that on October 26, 2022, the CBN disclosed a decision to redesign the naira notes and subsequently directed Nigerians to change the naira notes from the banks on number 4 January 31st, 2023. CBN pegged the maximum weekly limit for cash withdrawals across by individuals and corporate organizations to 500,000 naira and 5 million naira, respectively. On electioneering, Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, has declared the readiness of the Commission to conduct next month's general elections. Yakubu gave the affirmation at the Royal Institute of International Affairs, Chatham House, London, while speaking on Nigeria's 2023 elections, preparations and priorities for electoral integrity and inclusion. INEC chairman also disclosed that the commission would conduct mock accreditation nationwide ahead of the elections. He said the mock exercise would be carried out across selected polling units to ascertain the integrity of the bimodal voter accreditation system BVAS before the main polls in February. The Presidential National Assembly elections will hold on February 25th, while governorship and state assembly polls come up on March 11th. You're listening to the news on Planet Radio, 101.1 FM. Let's take a breather and then bring more stories from our foreign, sports and entertainment scenes. Do stay with us.
At 101.1 FM News, quality information, crisp delivery, and on time. Planet News at 7 a.m., 12 noon, and 6 p.m.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, on the foreign scene, Brazil's president, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, has removed 40 soldiers from the detail at his presidential residence after vowing a stifling cleanup following anti-government riots on January 8. Just days after the attack on the presidential palace, Supreme Court and Congress by backers of far-right former President Jair Bolsonaro said the rioters likely had inside help. He ordered a thorough staffing review, saying he was convinced that the door of the Planalto Palace was open for people to enter because there are no broken doors. In sports, West Bromwich Albion cruised into the fourth round of the FA Cup with a comfortable win over National League side Chesterfield in replay. John Sweeps put the bag in his head when he curled into the bottom left corner midway through the first half. The five-time winners doubled their lead through Tom Rogic 30 minutes after restart after Jack Livermore submitted 3-0 from a corner. After Akwasi Asante hit the post for the visitors, Jovan Malcolm added a fourth. Albion will travel to Bristol City in the next round after the Robins beat Swansea City 2-1 after extra time on Tuesday. Now, on the entertainment scene, the popular Hausa skit maker Kamal Layashu, better known as Kamal Aboki, has reportedly passed away. Kamal, a viral sensation on TikTok where he commands a huge following, became popular after his Hausa-themed skits surfaced online. The comedian reportedly died on Monday in a fatal motor accident on his way from Borno to Kano State. It's been the news on Planet Radio, 101.1 FM. But before we go, a recap of the major stories.